devastating encounter, particularly coming out of Anfield. Well, for everyone who cared to listen, I did say Anfield was that slaughter ground. But hey, I've got to say kudos to Arsenal for trying to pull their weight right there at Anfield yesterday. But of course, is it a case of 1 point dropped, 1 point gained or 2 points dropped? I mean, how exactly do you want to look at that scenario for Arsenal right now? And of course, their title hopes. So welcome on board to Sports Bang, the second half of the show for today, Monday, the 10th in the month of April 2023. And what a weekend we saw in the world of sports, football particularly, and also in the NBA, where we came to the end of the regular season with games played in the early hours of late last night, actually, not this morning. And of course, we also saw Israel Adesanya at the weekend, also getting in his stride to return to winning ways over Alex Pereira. We'll talk about that today on the show, kind of like a fallout of that, and the action that still continues to come out as regards that. So we'll talk about that today on the show. And of course, lots of football to go around as well. We're getting ready for the return of Champions League tomorrow. And of course, Pep Guardiola has faced the media today, where he's had to answer some questions. Okay, we'll talk about that and a lot more today on the show Sports Bang. We're live on our Facebook fan page where you can join us. You can be a part of the show today via our Facebook fan page. Just find us there and do well to like our page and also share to your friends. Okay, Blessing Fowowe is my name, and I welcome you on board the show today. Of course, let's start off from the world of golf here, where we had the Masters, and it was Spain's John Ram who kept his nerve and patience to win the first Masters, swinging an excellent final day in his exciting final day in his favor from American Brooks Koepka. Ram, who is just 28, carded 3 under 69 to finish on 12 under and win by 4 shots, as Koepka, who led by 2 going into the final round, signed for a 75. Koepka ended joint second with veteran Phil Mickelson, who shot a stunning 7 under 65 to finish 8 under. Former champions Jordan Spieth and Patrick Reed were a shot further back. Defending champion Scottie Scheffler finished in a round on 4 under, along with England's US Open champion Matt Fitzpatrick, who was the highest finisher from Great Britain and the Northern Ireland. And of course, there had to be one Spanish man who won the green jacket. John Ram is his name, who won that the Augusta National there. Congratulations to the man there. And moving away from golf, let's talk about tennis here. Monte Carlo Masters 2023. Andy Murray is out. And of course, I was out with a whimper to Alex de Minaur after error string display. He went out to a 6-1, 6-3 defeat to the 15th seed Alex de Minaur in the first round. The former world number 1 was broken in the opening service game, and things went downhill from there as he produced 26 on first errors and failed to earn a single break point in a disappointing start to his clay court campaign. And de Minaur, who extended his perfect head-to-head record against Andy Murray to 3-0, never looked at risk of being the latest victim of a storming back from the Scots as he eased to a victory in 1 hour and 26 minutes. But up next for Alex de Minaur will be a tie against Jan-Lennard Struff, and that will be in the second round after the German defeated Albert Ramos Vinola 6-4, 6-3. And for Andy Murray, someone is wondering what's up for him, what's next for this man after crashing out of the Monte Carlo Masters. Well, he says he plans to play in Rome as well, and depending on how his body feels, how his body responds, and then he can be able to tell if he would be at the French Open or not. Of course, the clay court season is in session right now, and of course, we cannot wait to see the masters of the clay get on to a clay court season and of course do what they know how to do best. The French Open is coming up shortly, and all of this other tournaments are build-ups, of course, to the French Open. Of course, we'd like to see Rafael Nadal is out injured. It says he still continue to ramp up, training, ramp up, exercising to ensure that he makes it back to the clay court as soon as possible. And of course, there are some other, clay court specialists as well as Rafael Nadal who want to have their bite as have a go at the French Open title. Djokovic is also there somewhere as well, who also wants to win the next Grand Slam of the year. So the clay court is in session. The clay court season is in session. And of course, we cannot wait to see what this holds at the end of the day. And away from tennis, we go straight into the NBA. The game split from yesterday. Well, it wasn't without some drama of its own. In Minnesota Timberwolves, the center Rudy Gobert has apologized after throwing a punch at teammate Kyle Anderson following his team's 113-108 victory over the New Orleans Pelicans. The Frenchman Gobert appeared to hit Anderson in the chest, and the pair were separated by players and coaches on the bench in the middle of the game, and subsequently was sent home early by his team for what they call an unacceptable behavior. And Rudy Gobert was apologizing. He said emotions got the best of him. He tweeted, he said, and I quote, "I should not have reacted the way that I did regardless of what was said. I want to apologize to the fans, the organization, and particularly to Kyle, who is someone that I truly love and respect as a teammate." Well, that victory saw the Timberwolves edge past the Pelicans into 8th place in the Western Conference, and that meant that they clinched a spot in the play-in tournament and a tie against Los Angeles Lakers for a place in the playoffs. Now, Anderson was asked about the incident after the game. He said, and I quote, "We want to win games. It is what it is. It ain't the first time someone has swung on me." Of course, said they're all grown-ups. They're going to talk about that, within the team and also move on. Of course, some of these things happen, but right in the middle of a game that you're trying to win to get into playing contention and also have a chance to be in the playoff, of course, this one definitely wasn't what the Minnesota Timberwolves organization would really want to, would have loved to see. And the president of the basketball operations there said that they've made a decision to send Rudy Gobert home. They made the decision rather to send Rudy Gobert home after that incident in the second quarter. His behavior, they say, on the bench was unacceptable, and of course they'll continue to handle the situation internally. Okay, away from the squabble that happened with the Minnesota Timberwolves on their bench, and this is how postseason is going to be looking like in the NBA. Regular season is done and dusted, and now we're going to have the play-in fixtures first and foremost. Atlanta Hawks in the Eastern Conference are going away to Miami Heat, and we also have Chicago Bulls going away to Toronto Raptors. That's in the Eastern Conference. The winner of the game between Atlanta Hawks and the Miami Heat goes straight into the playoff, while whoever loses that game gets to play the winner of the game between the Chicago Bulls and the Toronto Raptors. In the Western Conference, Timberwolves against Los Angeles Lakers. Whoever wins gets straight into the playoff to take on Memphis Grizzlies, and the loser of that game has to play the winner of the game between Oklahoma City Thunder and New Orleans Pelicans. That's in the play-in, and once the play-in is done and off to the playoffs, we go straight away. In the Eastern Conference, we have Milwaukee Bucks against the 8th seed. Boston Celtics will wait on someone from the play-in tournament to face them. Philadelphia 76ers, they have a game against Brooklyn Nets. New York Knicks will be at home hosting Cleveland Cavaliers. That's in their playoff fixture. In the Western Conference, Denver Nuggets against the 8th seed, Memphis Grizzlies against 7th seed, Sacramento Kings against the Golden State Warriors, and the Phoenix Suns have a tie against Los Angeles Clippers. That's the playoff fixtures from the NBA. And as early as early Saturday, Sunday morning, the playoffs will start. But from tomorrow, the earliest of tomorrow is going to be about the play-in from the Eastern Conference and, of course, from the Western Conference. And away from NBA discussions now to talk about the MMA, where Israel Adesanya was in action at the weekend. He won that game against Alex Pereira, and Alex Pereira, who was defeated, has now assured his fans that he is perfectly okay following that what was a devastating loss to Israel on Sunday. Pereira lost the defense of his UFC middleweight belt following a second-round knockout defeat and the rematch against his old rival Adesanya. And following the match, there were concerns over Pereira's health and his plans, with many suggesting that perhaps he should move up to the light heavyweight class, but the Brazilian has now revealed what the future holds for him, and he has also assured fans that he is healthy, although he didn't clearly state his plans. But the tweet that he sent out today kind of suggests that he might be moving up in the weight class eventually. On his Twitter account, he says, and I quote, "I'm just here to let you know that I am fine. I want to thank my family, my team, and all the people who are supporting me during my journey. Now I just have to rest and continue with the plans that are already on motion. Thanks God." He says, that's from his official Twitter handle. Alex Pereira says there's a plan in motion already and just has to continue with that. Does that include moving up weight classes? Perhaps. Maybe in the next couple of months, next couple of weeks, we're going to find out. But now he has to focus on recovering from whatever injuries he must have suffered in that fight against Israel Adesanya. He's going to take a break now before returning to the octagon later in the year. He can also pick up the option of having a rematch against Adesanya, although the New Zealand-based Nigerian insists that he will not give him the rematch, urging the Brazilian to move up to the lightweight. Well, why wouldn't you want to give him a rematch? I mean, he defeated you once, you got a rematch. How about now? Anyway, wait to see how that pans out for both men. But of course, it was great to see Israel Adesanya back again, reclaiming the belt. We once had, 3 African champions in different weight classes in the UFC, the MMA, but somehow they all lost their belt, and it's great to see Israel picking up his again. And hopefully you can see Usman Kamaru somewhere down the line also reclaiming his belt. And what's next for Francis Ngannou? Kanu, remember, he's left the MMA, he's left the UFC. It's not clear what exactly his plans are for the future. But of course, we can't wait to see where this champion will be playing next, or where he'll be fighting as if he wants to continue with fighting. Okay, moving on from there, let's talk about athletics. A couple of just about a wrap of what Nigerian athletes did over the course of the weekend. Especially for those who are in the US sports system, they've had many competitions over the past couple of months, weeks, indoors. Now they're in the outdoor season. And Ruth Usoro, Godson Brume, and Choma Onyekwere, they set what we call a strong early season marks in their various meets last weekend. With the outdoor season now in full swing, Nigerian athletes have also made their presence known, churning out impressive performances in their event. Ruth Usoro picked up from where she left off in a fantastic indoor season as she soared to a brilliant distance of 6.82 meters. That's for victory in the women's long jump at the Miramar Invitational on Saturday. That mark would have been the #1 distance in the world this year, but for the fact that there was excessive wind reading in that event, 2.5 meter per second there, that means that it wouldn't be the #1 distance in the world, but then it still stands as the best mark in all the conditions. And Godson Brume came close to breaking his 100 meters personal best of 10.12 seconds after clocking 10.13 seconds to win the men's 100 meter at Lloyd Wills Invitational. Meanwhile, his teammate Ella Onojuvevo smashed a 400 meter personal best with a brilliant time of 52.52 seconds to win the women's event. The youngster is also a big bet to go sub 52 seconds this year. And competing against one of the best discus throwers in the world, Choma Onyekwere threw what was a massive season best mark of 60.79 meters to finish 6th in the women's discus throw, and that was at the Triton Invitational on Friday. And Jerry Jakpa of West Texas A&M raced to a season's best of 20.78 seconds to win his 200 meter heat in the same meet. Jakpa finished second fastest overall and clocked another season best of 10.36 in the 100 meters. And meanwhile, for those who are back home in Nigeria wondering what's going on with them, we're talking about those who are outside the shores of Nigeria, but the Athletics Federation of Nigeria just yesterday invited 55 athletes to camp for the final leg of preparations, and that is for the African Under-18 and Under-20 Championships, which is scheduled to hold later this month in Ndola, Zambia. The majority of the athletes were picked after the Under-18, after the AFN Under-18 and Under-20 trials that was held at the Ahmadu Bello Stadium in Kaduna late last month. Now, top of the list is 18-year-old Ronke Ashabi, who set a new Nigerian 3,000 meters Under-20 record at the trials. Ashabi first set the record barely a year ago at the Invitational International School Sports Federation, which was held in France. Also on the list of invited athletes are the reigning Nigerian 100 meters at Under-20 record holder Tima God Bless, Sule Rejoice Adijatu, Okpa Elo Blessing, Adeloye Adetutu Fumilayo, Immaculate Daniel, Rosemary Etim, and Grace Sule, just to mention a few of the 55 athletes that have been invited to camp for the Under-18 and Under-20 championships. That's the update from the athletics scene in Nigeria here, and we can't wait for the big events where we'll see them all on global stage. But hey, let's get preparations as much as we can, get all of these events under their belt to ensure that the season goes on smoothly at the end of the day. And they're talking football now, but from the Super Falcons of Nigeria, tomorrow they have this another friendly game, but this time around against New Zealand. Remember, on Friday they were in action against Haiti, and on Tuesday, that's tomorrow, they'll play the second. That's the second friendly game against the co-host of the Women's World Cup, New Zealand. And Leicester City defender Ashley Plumpter, she's been speaking ahead of the World Cup. He believes that Super Falcons can make a significant impact at the Women's World Cup. Falcons have attended all editions of the championship competition, and they're also among the 32 countries that will compete for honors this year. That's in June, July in Australia and New Zealand. And the 9-time African champions will face co-host Australia, Olympic champions Canada, and Republic of Ireland. That's in Group B, which of course has been tagged perhaps the group of death, because it's going to be very, very tough facing all of this, other countries. But Randy Wardum's ladies are currently in Antalya, Turkey, where they are ramping up preparations with all of those friendly games. And speaking to the NFF, NFF. And Ashley Plumter said, and I quote, obviously we've got our eyes set on the summer, but right now we're trying to just put little details into practice and make sure that come the summer, the team is ready to perform. In other words, yes, we know we are obviously against really good competition. We definitely can't look past that. Pressure is on the likes of Canada and Australia, and I know we have some amazing talent in this team. So we are definitely going to put in some good performances, and I think we can cause some couple of upsets. That's the words of Ashley Plumter speaking with the NFF there, saying that she believes the Falcons, with some of the amazing talents that they have in their ranks, can actually cause upsets at the World Cup. Can we? Okay, well, based on what I saw against Haiti on Friday, well, it was a victory nonetheless, but performance was a bit scrappy. In my own opinion, defense was a bit sloppy as well. Attack wasn't very, very sharp, but maybe with a few more games, they can get their synergy, and let's see how far that will get us in the World Cup. So preparations should continue, and let's see how far they go. First and foremost, against New Zealand tomorrow, because, I mean, they should give you a feel of what playing against Australia will look like. Maybe tomorrow on Sports Bank we'll talk about that and what to expect for the girls. And still talking Nigerian football now, but from the NPFL, that's Nigerian Premier Football League. Reports came out today that the chief coach of Rivers United, or should I say assistant coach, you know how we do with, titles with NPFL sides. Fatai Osho has now resigned his position from Rivers United. He announced in a brief post on his social media account on Facebook. Osho, who is the club's second in command in technical affairs, did not give details of the reasons for his decision, but communicated it in clear tone to his fans. He wrote on Facebook, his official Facebook page, saying, "I resigned my position as the chief coach of Rivers United FC. Best wishes to the team." That was all he wrote on Facebook. But according to reports and according to sources now, that there are reports saying that the former coach of the Imba FC, Remo Stars, decided to resign from his post due to what he felt was a spell of disrespect and contempt by the club management, especially from the general manager of Rivers United, Okechukwu Paluku. The coach, who is nicknamed Sugar Ball, resigned and subsequently left the team while on their road from Kaduna, where they held Niger Tornadoes to a goalless draw yesterday in the NPFL, and en route to Jos, which will be the venue of their game on Wednesday, a rescheduled game that is against Lobby Stars. The Commissioner for Sports in Rivers State, Honorable Christopher Green, stated that he's yet to be notified officially by the coach. He's not received any letter to that effect. But then he also admitted that somebody told him that the coach had resigned, but is waiting for official letter to come in from the coach himself. Remember, Fatai Osho joined Rivers United before the start of the 2021-2022 football season as assistant to the longest-serving coach in the league, Stanley Guma, and was instrumental to the team's first league triumph in 11 years. All the best to Coach Fatai Osho. I cannot wait to see where his next destination will be. Of course, in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Let's see where next the man will be coaching. But I think this is a shocking news coming out of Rivers, and saying that they are in a good position with the CAF Confederations Cup. I should not be at this point, at this time in the season, that we get to hear something like this. But we'll keep our fingers crossed to see what Fatai Osho's next move will be. Okay, let's go outside of Nigeria. From the Premier League, Dean Smith is in talks with Leicester about taking over as manager until the end of the season. Remember, Dean Smith left Norwich earlier this season after spending previous spells at Aston Villa and Brentford, and it's now understood that talks are centered around trying to keep the Foxes in the Premier League rather than looking for a long-term manager. If Smith does take on the role, it would involve Craig Shakespeare returning to the King's Power Stadium. Shakespeare was part of Claudio Ranieri's backroom team when Leicester famously won the Premier League title back in 2016. He subsequently replaced the Italian as manager. And Leicester are currently in huge trouble in the relegation zone following Saturday's home defeat by Bournemouth. So they're turning to Dean Smith here, hoping that he will do what Unai Emery did, or what he's doing with Aston Villa, and maybe what Roy Hodgson is doing with Crystal Palace, if that should count for something. But that's what Leicester City are hoping that this man, Dave Smith, will come in and do. But of course, they're all talking anyway. It is not done and dusted yet. Let's see how far that goes for them. And if indeed whoever they bring in can help them avoid relegation, because it's not looking very, very good for them. It's looking very bleak, as a matter of fact. And let's see how that goes. And still sticking in the Premier League, assistant referee Konstantin Adzakis will not be involved in any matches while the Football Association investigates an incident in which he appeared to elbow Liverpool defender Andy Robertson. Adzakis made contact with Robertson's chin after the Scotland international approached him at the end of first half in Sunday's 2-2 draw against Arsenal. And angry Robertson and several teammates approached referee Paul Tierney, who booked Robertson. And the refereeing body PGMOL said it will not be appointing Konstantin Adzakis to fixtures in any of the competition during the course of the investigation. The former Blackburn striker Chris Sutton has also reacted to that. He said the assistant referee has to be ashamed, and he will have to sit out of a number of games. I mean, you can't have assistants throwing elbows. I mean, they have to investigate that very well to understand what must have been said. Or, I mean, why should you even at all be willing to throw an elbow? And Roy Keane, well, the former Manchester United midfielder called Robertson a big baby. He said he grabbed the linesman first, and Robertson should be more worried about his defending. Just get on with the game. Anyway, investigation is already in motion, and let's see what that comes out with. But for the time being, this assistant referee will not be given any job until the investigation is done and dusted. Okay, how about we take a break to join our partners right now at the BBC for the BBC Premier League updates, and when we return, we'll wrap up the show.
BBC Premier League update from the home of Premier League football.
Hello, this is Joe Parsons at the BBC Sports Centre. The Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta was disappointed his side couldn't maintain their quick start against Liverpool. Roberto Firmino scored a late equaliser as Liverpool came from behind to draw 2-2 at Anfield. Arteta's team are 6 points clear of Manchester City at the top of the table, but having played a game more.
Well, I imagine from the outside world, it was a great game to watch. We started the game really well. We were really dominant in that first half. Scored the first one, continued playing, scored the second one. And then just before halftime, we conceded the goal, and we gave Liverpool some momentum. I think we started the second half, the first few minutes good, and then we lost control. We started to give a lot of balls away.
Liverpool are 8th in the table, 1 place away from the European qualification places. The Liverpool forward, Cody Gakpo, says their second half performance was much closer to where they want to be.
We react really well this time, and it's something what we have to start with. The games with this mentality, with this intensity, and then I think we will not get behind that quick anymore.
Away from the action, the refereeing body PGMOL will investigate after Liverpool's Andy Robertson appeared to be elbowed in the chin by assistant referee Konstantin Hatzidakis. Robertson approached the official angrily at the end of the first half and appeared to shove him as he passed, with Hatzidakis raising an elbow which hit Robertson. In Sunday's other match, Leeds United were thrashed 5-1 by fellow strugglers Crystal Palace at Elland Road. Leeds remain just 2 points outside the relegation places. Here's their manager, Javi Gracia.
My message is that we have to learn from today something. After that, try to be ready again for the next game. I think we are doing many things well. We are competing all the games until today, this second half. That is hard to accept, but the rest of the minutes we've played from my arrival, always the team competed really well. Then we have to keep going, try to be positive and optimistic, and try to prepare as better as possible next game.
And for more football news from the BBC, go to bbc.com/football.
BBC Premier League update from the home of Premier League football.
Okay, welcome back with our break with our partners at the BBC for the BBC Premier League updates. Well, Champions League returns tomorrow, and Pep Guardiola has been forced to defend yet again City's lack of Champions League title, lack of Champions League success. Well, maybe tomorrow we'll get to talk about that when we review all of the matches. But before the Champions League tomorrow, there's a game tonight in the Spanish La Liga, and that is Barcelona hosting Girona. And remember when Barcelona lost to that in that 4-0 thrashing to Real Madrid at the Copa del Rey on Wednesday, he did say that it would be hard to sleep. Xavi Hernandez said it will be hard to sleep. And he also said that there are 11 finals left. Now, one of those finals will be playing against mid-table Girona there. Remember, they would narrowly beat them 1-0 in the reverse fixture in January. Let's hope that tonight will be different. At 8 p.m. Nigerian time, we'll have Barcelona take on Girona. Okay, I have to leave right now. Thank you very much for being a part of Sports Bang. We'll be back here tomorrow at 7:30. I am blessing for Fowowe. Au revoir.
Splash FM 105.5.
Onígbọ̀wọ́ ìrun pípé yìí ni Honourable Bímbọ́ Adékànbí. Wọ́n ṣe ládùúrà wípé kí Ọlọ́run ọba Allah gba ìrawọ́rasẹ̀ àti ìyànjú wa nínú oṣù àwẹ̀ yìí. Allahumma amin.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا